Thank you for joining me. A friend of mine called the other day and she dropped off these two items. This is what she wants made from here. It's just a little seat. I did say I wouldn't be able to put these in. These go all the way through and it just holds everything else into position. I'm not quite sure what kind of foam is in here. This is just small particles. Actually, it feels like it could be dacron. Sometimes it's tiny bits of foam that they force into it, which keeps its shape. So let's go on with that. I think the first thing I'm going to do is just cut it in half, because each half is going to be big enough to cover the size of seat cushion I need. I found if I cut the top all the way along, the fabric wouldn't roll quite so much when I was cutting this centerpiece out, and it's thick dacron, that's all that's in there. The only way I'm going to make sure that this is more or less even is to line up the white with the black front to back to make sure that it is going to be going in evenly. And I'm going to shove a couple of pins in just to hold it. This should make making the cover a little bit easier. Now, working from the front to the back, I'm going to put some pins in. I'm holding onto the side here and just making sure it's going in evenly to the center here, and that should give me a nice even seam along the side of this seat cushion. I'm not pinching it too tightly, just evenly. I can take it in if I feel that it's too loose before I take this off. So just put another one in here like that and flip that over, and again work from the side seam into the center, keeping the fabric even. And again, I'm going to go from the front here towards the back. I'll do that until I get to about the equivalent of this opening here at the back. I'm working from the front to the back because hopefully everything will stay even. It shouldn't roll. Now on this side, I just had to unstitch the corner because it's really quite close. But on this side, I was able to cut it out because I'm going to be redoing the corners. Now let's take this out and see what we can do with it. I'm going to straighten this line out slightly from the front here to this pin here. I think it just curves around a little bit. I don't want it to curve too much. And this is going to ripple just a little bit as I start sewing forward. Basically, this is like playing dot to dot. I'm going to be sewing from one set of pins to the next. And you might see that the fabric is going to ripple a little bit, but I'm going to try to keep it as flat as possible. Take that one off. Now this one kind of went in and out. I don't want it to go in and out too much. So I'm going to just straighten that one out too. And then this one out here. If it doesn't go on properly, then I will redo it. There we go, and then I'll start coming around the back and shaping it like this. Now I am just going to do a couple of stitches back and forward and finish. Now on this side it's too far over. I'm going to just start here and start sewing. But again, I'm just going to let the fabric push itself forward, goes out slightly, and then in. Now on this side, you can see that this pin comes in quite a way. I'm going to leave that and just line it up to this one here, like that. The reason it does that is because you're trying to make a flat cover out of something that's not very even. And now I'll start bringing it around the corner like this. The fabric kind of does its own thing. As I pull it, the underside is going to move out, and the same here. And again, forward and back. When I look on the back of here, the sewing on this side is quite even, but the stitching on this side is really quite wonky. So I'm going to come down from here, round it out and even it out, and then take these stitches out. That is quite normal when you can't really see what it is you are sewing. And because it is already stitched into place, it shouldn't be that hard to correct. Come down those stitches and around. And it looks like I should be coming into this stripe here around about here. So straighten that and then come in here. And then carry on sewing down and reverse, just like normal. I couldn't really see it on the other side because of the floral, but with the stripe it's more obvious that there was something wrong. I'm just going to take these stitches out all the way up now that it's evened out. Find a stitch where I can tug on like that and cut it, and then just carefully pull these out until they go into my new stitch line. I think I'm going to use this original one as a template. It'll be easier. This corner can come out. I can just cut that because this will come all the way out here on this side. If I line the white up like this, and on this side I'm going to have to unstitch it and take this out so it's a little bit flatter for me. I'm also going to take that little loop out, otherwise that's going to be tickling or annoying somebody's legs. It's just a little bit awkward, and it's only the front seam, so I don't have to worry too much. And I'll just sew across there in a minute to seal it. I've lined this stripe here at the front and at the back. I'm taking my scissors. I am just going to cut on round to the outside of my pattern. Now, although this was taken from the original, it did twist slightly, so there's a slimmer seam here, and I was a little bit worried, so I actually took the seam in a little bit more into the chair seat. I think that's going to be fine, as long as the tops are more or less even and the sides. Now I need to put the corners back in. I'm going to measure from there to there, which is about 2.5 inches, so 1 1/4 each side of the seam. Let's do the same on this one, 2.5 inches again. Now on the corners here, I am going to put the front seam up and the top seam down and interlock one seam against the other, and it should come out to here. And then I am going to put in 1 1/4 inches from the join where those two seams interlock, like that. And make sure they're not moving against each other. I always double check even though I have put it in. Hold everything at right angles and go straight across, forward and back, and then all the way across in a straight line. You can check that your seam is still in line further back, which is what you need to do. When you get there, forward and back. I'm going to do the same with this one. It's going to come into the corner here. The top I need to go up like that, and the one underneath I'm going to come down like that. Right into that corner again. Interlock the seams, just like in quilting where you interlock your seams. I'm going to measure 1 1/4 inches from the seam to the top like that. Start with forward and back, go all the way across and finish with forward and back, just like you did on the other side. When you've done that, cut the seam back. I'm going to be a little bit generous because I'm not going to overstitch that. And the same here. Now you will see that the other seam was a little bit close because that's where I cut it out, but it still covers it. That's because the new seat cover was taken a little bit further back. That'll hold. With a marker, I'm going to hold it perpendicular and just draw around the original seat cushion like this. I'm going to start cutting. Now this dacron is quite firm, so I'm only going to be able to cut some of it and then ease my way until I get all the way through the layers. It's compressed dacron, so it doesn't behave quite the same way as the regular dacron, but that's okay. I'm just going to cut one layer and then come back and cut the next layer to match. Once you've cut it, fold it up and put it into the new bag. Having pinned the back as evenly as I can, I'm going to go back a little ways from there, like this, forward and back, And I'm going to try to keep the seam even as I make my way across the back of the opening. I could have made the back a little bit fuller of the cushion, but I think it would be fine. This is how they've sealed it on the other one, so I'm going to do it exactly the same way. If the cushions aren't too full, they're easier to manoeuvre through. And when I get to the other side, I'll just go forward and back. There we go. And it's finished. Now I'll finish the other one exactly the same way. Thank you for joining me on this little project. This is the original cushion, and here is the new cushion. She decided not to go for buttons. We could have put buttons in and it would have just held it. If she changes her mind, I'll put them in for her. The other thing is you could just put stitches in and just pull them in really tight. That will work as well. So I think she's going to be really pleased with them. And the other thing was, when you do the corners, when you cut them open, really make sure you've got as much fabric as you can there. So undo the stitches rather than just cut down the size. One of these was touch and go. I had to make the seam slightly wider so that it would hold all of the loose threads in. It was about 1/8 of an inch that I was off. So that would be my advice. Just undo the stitches, not just cut them on the corners. If you want to hear more from me, please subscribe, hit the bell button, and a few thumbs up would be absolutely brilliant. And in the meantime, take care. See you later. Ciao. Okay, so I've got all the pins facing this way because I'm going to work from the front to the back. I've got a naughty girl helping me today. So although I've got pins, I don't know what's in her today. She's a bit naughty.